Again, and welcome to Movie Pass Holes.
I'm Saman.
And I'm Romo.
And this week we saw Tonya.
Woo!
Yes. All right. What did you think?
What did I think? Should we give it like the quick synopsis?
Oh, the quick synopsis before what we thought?
Yeah.
All right. So, Tonya, if you're under the age of, I guess, 24, 25,
might not know
then
this
you were not privy to this great American scandal. At the 1994 Winter Olympics, Tonya Harding allegedly was involved in some kind of plot that got her rival on her own team, Nancy Kerrigan's kneecap busted in. And it became an international hoopla.
Yeah.
People were picking sides. Were you a Nancy? Were you a Tonya? It was the only thing on the news. And everyone watched the Winter Olympics that one time.
That one time.
Yeah.
And so it was the story.
This is the story of that. I guess.
Of that, but also mostly about Tonya herself.
Yeah, of Tanya's account of what happened. Yeah.
Right. And so I guess we'll get into it. So non-spoilery thoughts and feelings. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really well shot, interestingly shot, dark comedy, I guess you would call it. Dark comedy biopic. And it felt, I don't know. I enjoyed how it was shot. I enjoyed a lot of the music in it. All the music was really great. I felt the story was a little interesting. I thought Margot Robbie was kind of weak. But overall, I enjoyed it. As someone who grew up watching that as it unfolded, it was cool to see another side or different stories to it. But I don't know. I thought it was a pretty solidly okay film.
I would agree. I thought it was a solid, okay film. As someone who, not to toot my own horn, but has watched The Price of Gold 100,000 times. The Price of Gold is a ESPN 30 by 30 documentary, 3430, documentary about this whole scandal. And there are also a number of other documentaries, but they all pretty much rehash the exact same things and exact same points. And I really thought this was more of a dramatization of that documentary than it was really something new and fresh to tell about the story. But not to get into it right now, but I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fine movie. I thought Margot Robbie did all right. I rescind my my accent anger. I do think the accent was here and there. I didn't
know what accent she was trying to do.
I thought sometimes it was right on the money, and then other times I was like, "Are you from Florida?" Old-timey Brooklyn.
Yeah.
But sometimes it was sometimes she had, because a lot of the time she was just quoting video that you can easily find on YouTube of the same interviews over and over, and a lot of it was just straight transcription of interviews.
Okay. See, I haven't seen any of.
See.
So right, let's go. Spoiler.
Okay. So I liked it. It was fine.
It's hard to spoil this since it's based on a true story.
Spoilers. I mean, it's not 1994 anymore. So I don't know what to tell you. If you don't know what happens. Well, that was I wrote notes this time, and one of my notes was, is some of the audience not American? Because there were a lot of gasps that at points where I was like, where have you guys been?
Yeah.
And I was curious to see the age of the people that were coming out of the theater.
Yeah.
Because when she didn't land her second triple axel, the woman sitting next to you went, oh! Yeah. I was like, she doesn't land it. Where have you been?
They were weirdly about random points of the movie.
She lands it once, not at the Olympics, and the person next to you was like, oh, her shoelace broke. Oh my gosh, she stopped skating in the middle. Yes, that's what happened.
This is exactly what happened.
That's why it was,
Mine was, I was remembering. I was like, oh yeah, because I definitely watched this stuff as it happened. I remember watching it.
It's the only thing on TV for 2 months.
And they'd replay it too. They'd replay that stuff.
Well, it was a Cinderella story. You wanted to you know, everyone was giving Tonya crap,
Right.
And people wanted Nancy to win.
Right.
And so everyone was paying a lot of close attention to both of them.
Right.
And yeah, you know, if you were American at the time and you owned a TV, you couldn't miss it.
Right.
But I guess we did see it at Nighthawk in Williamsburg.
Yeah.
I think the audience skewed a little younger. It's hard to tell with all their mustaches,
with all their galooly stashes,
all their galoolies, all their facial galoolies. But I definitely thought the audience skewed a little younger when they were coming out.
It's probably true. They probably.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like some people didn't know the story as they were coming out.
Margot Robbie herself, as a not American person, said that she was well into the process before she realized Tonya Harding was a real person.
Wait, what?
Yeah, which I don't think is a cute story to tell.
No, that is not a cute story at all. She's listed as a producer on the film.
Right? It's
Clearly they had to get her life rights of some sort, or I'm assuming it's based on a book, or maybe it's based on the documentary.
I think it's based on multiple documentaries.
And therefore they were like,
interviews,
that's our source.
And I'm sure Tonya herself was more than willing to
of course.
say stuff
I mean, if
about
anything,
it
that's
and
kind of
talk about
the
it.
theme of this movie has a very big thing about wanting adulation or praise and what she thinks is love, but is adulation or praise.
Well, I feel like it's important to frame the movie as not necessarily the truth, but as Tanya's statement. It's called I, Tonya.
Right.
It's what she professes
And they
to have
do a good job of being like, right at the beginning they say this is the true story of wildly contradicting statements, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Which is a cute little like way to kind of get themselves out of hot
I don't
water
think the movie's nearly anywhere near as impartial as it pretends to be.
Oh no, it's definitely
in any
on.
capacity.
It's definitely on.
I think it goes out of its way to make it make it align with Tanya's story that she had no idea.
Absolutely, no.
Yeah.
It's very much clearly on Tanya's side, though they do definitely try.
I wrote down Tonya propaganda in my notes.
But they do at least give a little bit of wiggle room to some of the other players, like her mom, but not a lot, because the evidence is pretty damning because it is on video. Most of the interviews and stuff are like they show during the credits.
But it's still up in the air whether she actually
how much she actually knew. That's fair, and like we'll never actually know.
I mean, they do touch on some of the actual evidence. Like there is a point where, the police, the FBI recovered notes in a trash can of like Jeff Gillooly, her husband. Or her ex-husband at the time, technically, or they were separated.
Were they just separated?
Yeah,
then? Yeah.
They're separated then together.
Right. Yeah.
If you ask Tonya, she'll say they were like in the process of getting divorced.
Right.
But they were together. So Jeff and Sean Eckhart, which is his like bumbling sidekick friend.
The actor who played him was great.
I think Sean Eckhart was the best character in the whole movie.
Sean Eckhart was really good, and I really loved Allison Janney.
I think she's in the market for an Oscar.
I was gonna say that I feel like she could totally 100% win an Oscar for this, and at least get nominated. She'll definitely get nominated for supporting actress. Like I think actually all the supporting cast and actors made this movie.
Oh yeah, Sebastian Stan was great. He was a little too sexy. To be Jeff Gillooly,
Sexy
but
to Jeff Gillooly.
It
was funny because for a split second during their wedding scene, they intercut the actual wedding, and you see like actual Jeff Gillooly, and you're like just a little bit, and you're like
human salamander.
Yeah, just so like thin and scrawny and like
creepy. I think he looks
creepy.
He behaves, and Sebastian Stan a little too cute.
A little too cute. But yeah, the supporting cast is definitely, I think, helped elevate this movie.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise it's just this Margot Robbie being kind of Margot Robbie.
Speaking of aesthetics and Margot Robbie, I think Margot Robbie was astronomically too skinny for the part. No, because a lot of people's issues with Tonya were about her body.
Right.
And,
her bulky frame.
Yeah, she was too muscular. She had giant, powerful thighs. Not giant, but she had big, powerful thighs. That is what allowed her to be able to do the triple axel.
Right. And she wasn't some dainty figure.
Exactly. And Margot Robbie was still 20 pounds too light, I felt.
But yeah,
no, I think that's important. It was a lot of the pressure that the judges were putting on her, the media were putting on her, was about what she looked like. and physically it reminds me of the Nina Simone movie. Where they cast what's-her-face, Zoe Saldana,
right.
where, an entire crux of Nina Simone's career was the specific skin tone and how that allowed her access to certain places.
Right.
And then Zoe Saldana, who would never have that problem, was playing her. And so, real thin Margot Robbie.
It's true.
And they tried to ugly her up as much as possible.
As much
they
as
give her
they
harsh rouge.
Oh, yeah.
They let
the braces really hard.
They let her play a 15-year-old to try to make her more haggardly. That was another problem I had. Margot Robbie is way too old. Way too old.
Well, yeah,
Tonya Harding is 15 when she meets Jeff Gillooly. She looks like she's 35.
I mean, they did that for the movie. That's a film thing, and I get it. And they did.
I don't think it works at all. I think it makes you
right.
think that she has a lot more maturity than she does.
That's fair. She's a
child.
That's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
That's a fair criticism of it. I get that they wanted to get to, obviously, it's her and Sebastian Stan's film. They want to get to them being in the movie as quickly as possible.
I get that.
They couldn't sit with a younger actor.
Yeah, but
too long.
She doesn't look 15.
No, she doesn't.
I don't think she looks a day under 35, to be honest.
But I also don't think they were trying to say she looks 15. They're just like, it's her, just take it.
No, but
suspension of
I
disbelief
get that,
a little
but
bit.
I feel like it matters. I feel like it matters if you know that she's a child when she meets Jeff Gillooly. That's the first man that's ever given her any
they did make her a little,
ever gave her attention at all.
Yeah, they did make her a little too sexy, and that like they tried with the short boy haircut.
They tried. I mean, and that's what Tonya looked like at the time. She had the short haircut. I really thought Margot looked like Tonya only for 1 second, and it was right as the movie started, where she was sitting there. That's actual, basically recreation of a very famous interview. She's wearing that same kind of jacket. She's sitting in her kitchen,
right?
And she's got the bangs
fringe
with the mousse in it, and her hair in a big thing. And she looked like Tonya a lot for a second. I guess I wish maybe they had loopered it a bit and gave her a facial prosthetic. Something
else rather than just making up. But yeah, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I read somewhere else that she was wearing a, air quotes, fat suit for a chunk of it too.
I could see it maybe during the beginning stuff. She was wearing a lot of sweaters and baggier stuff.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking about it.
I still think she was pretty pointedly skinny.
Yeah, she was not skinny.
Yeah. I mean, that was a major factor in when she comes back to train for the Winter Olympics, because the Winter Olympics came up sooner.
Right. Because
the 94 Olympics is when they decided to start doing the Winter Olympics every 2 years.
Right.
So they're not the same years as the actual Olympics. So then that meant that there were going to be 2 Olympics in the time span that there would have been just that one.
Gotcha.
And when her trainer goes to see her where she works at her waitressing job, Tanya's like, oh, but I'm out of shape. And that was a big thing when she was qualifying, that people were just like, wow, she's huge. And she can't, she's not going to get the lift anymore.
Right.
And that was a big part of her career. I'm mad. I will just say that. I think it's important to her character that she be bigger.
Yeah.
I do.
Do you have someone you think you should have?
No, I just think as a fuller figured woman, they could have hired a whole younger woman.
It's fair. It's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's tough to really talk about this movie.
Fin washing.
I mean, I definitely thought some of the weird stuff. There was some weird stuff. There was some weird. Every time she was skating, it was obviously someone else, and they CGI'd her face.
The CGI head was terrible. It was like Henry Cavill, but her whole face.
It was awkward.
It was terrible.
It was really awkward.
The first time they did it, when they were reenacting the first triple axel that she had at the U.S. women's thing.
Oh, so they did it.
Terrible.
So if you didn't know, I noticed it because they did it. I was like, oh, something weird's with her face as a kid.
Oh yeah.
They did it to they had whoever was the kid actor's face. They plastered CGI'd her. I was like, no one's gonna know the difference for the kids. They could have just let this one go.
I was annoyed that when she first, because it starts with her mom bringing her as a 4-year-old to the best trainer in all of Portland, and I was really annoyed that they couldn't find a small child who could skate at all. Because as the story goes, Tonya will tell the story 100 times over, that what happened was her mom brings her to the rink. The woman says, I don't train 4-year-olds. and then Tanya's mom tells her to go, and Tonya literally skates circles around the woman, and she's like, oh, well, all right. But what we saw in the movie is we see a reenactment of that, but knowing full well that the child can't skate at all. So you get that she's going around her in a circle, but you just get like her little face, and you don't see her skate in any way. And so it makes no sense why the woman would look at her and go, oh, I will train you. Just, I don't know, a body double for a second. Cover her face. I don't know. Let her skate it in any way. She didn't skate at all.
The music in this movie was great. I really liked the use of music. See, I liked the way it was filmed. I just don't think the story was that great. Compelling, yeah. Like, and maybe it's because I know the story, and so. But I haven't seen the documentary like you have. Hearing some of the other parts of it was interesting to me, and like seeing that through the lens of a filmmaker, obviously. But like I liked how the editing techniques of using of them talking to the camera and stuff like that. I kind of like that.
I wasn't necessarily a fan of the breaking the fourth wall because I thought it started too late.
Oh.
And that it was a little inconsistent.
Okay. I think I was prepped for it from the beginning. It felt like it was there.
I feel like if it started at the beginning, like the framing for it was someone talking to the camera, and then I didn't understand. We went too long with only Tonya talking to the camera before someone else did it.
That's fair.
And so it was a little jarring when the next person who did it was like Jeff Galili, and it was a little jarring when he started talking to the camera.
It switched, yeah.
I mean, I get it. They're all supposed to be giving like statements.
It's all their testimony type deal as they're going
that's
through.
That's why it's called.
Because it's basically it's Tanya telling the story, and then them or.
No, it's her I feel like it's supposed to be her testimony. This is a reenactment of what she says happened.
But I mean, then there's the scene where she pulls out the shotgun, which is clearly Jeff's testimony.
Jeff's story, yeah.
And she's breaking out and saying, this didn't happen, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So it goes back and forth a little bit. But, like, there's definitely little bits of Jeff's side of things in there, I feel like. Not a lot, obviously, because it is very clearly Tanya's story, and
but I feel like it lost track of that. Once what they call in the movie the incident happened, then we stop asking Tonya what her opinion is on things.
That's true. I guess as soon as the incident happens,
then all of a sudden she's hands off.
It's just Tonya.
No, it's not just Tonya.
No.
It's Jeff's story, and it's Jeff and Sean Eckhart, and then we only come back to Tonya for Tonya to be like, what do you mean?
Oh, yeah.
What's happening?
I mean, it's
we stop getting in her head anymore.
I mean, it's her like version of events, or at least how she views them. Not that it's her. No, it totally stops being her story. Yeah. It becomes Jeff, Sean, and Sean's idiot boobs, as he's called, as the boobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the dudes who actually carry out the attack.
We're just supposed to mail letters.
Oh my goodness. So I thought that was another interesting thing that really landed home, that this is Tanya's statement about what happened. Everybody multiple times reiterating that it was just supposed to be letters, which is the only thing on record anyone has of Tonya confessing in any capacity.
Oh, so that's why it gets reiterated so much in the movie.
We see a clip of that in the movie,
right,
where she says it was only supposed to be letters, and Jeff's like, dude, shut up.
Like, don't say anything.
So that's the only amount of confession we get to be able to put any kind of onus on her from the movie, that she repeatedly says letters, she repeatedly involves herself in the act of trying to figure out where she's skating so they can send her death threats. And I'm like, why does it have to stop at death threats? Why does it make it okay if you were involved in this plot? She was literally calling where Nancy was supposed to be skating and practicing,
weird.
Why they could send her death threats.
Why do you need the times? Like, you can just get the place and they'll send a letter to there.
What is a death threat supposed to do? And how is that okay? And why do you need the times that she'll be there so you can get the death threat physically to her? I'm just saying, Tonya, your story's got holes. I'm not feeling this pro-Tonya propaganda. I mean, I'll listen. I'm not feeling it.
Not feeling it.
That was another thing. I found it's a dark comedy, but I found a lot of it hard to laugh at.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a lot of true
stuff.
You know, Not that my mom beat me about ice skating or anything, but a lot of it was triggering as like a child who like danced and played instruments and stuff. You know, my mom would be
like
there.
pushing.
I'm like, I'm tired. She's like, shut up, go back out there. Like, or like I would bomb a piano recital, and I will never forget. I bombed one piano recital when I was like 7, and I was crying about it, and it was so low key. It was like
There's no crying in piano playing.
It was a low key recital in like my teacher's like living room with other kids, and I completely bombed it. And we got in the car, and my mom said it was embarrassing. And I will never forget
You're
that.
a child.
And I think about it every time I touch the piano.
Mm-hmm.
And so I found a lot of it kind of triggering, and that kind of stuff sticks with you. It's not an excuse to go bash someo's hand. Like, I'm not going to break someone's fingers to win a piano competition or anything.
Yeah. But they definitely...
I'm just saying I found a lot of it hard to laugh at. A lot of it was...
I can see that. No, I mean, and I think... it was a dark comedy and a biopic and a drama, but like they definitely stray away from comedy a lot. Like obviously, there's moments of like it's hard to say, like there's comical beating between her and Jeff, but it is played for comedy. And then there's more serious stuff where there's like a more serious treatment of it. And it's weird. It was weird. It was kind of weird to watch that like switch back and forth between like...
I get that it was played for comedy because they did want to stress the reality of the situation, that he beat her and she retaliated back against him. But the fact that reads as comedy is uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the movie's fault. I think that's society's fault. Which brings me to my next point.
Okay.
That I feel like the film was set up in 3 acts of people who violated her. First act was her mom violating her. The second act was Jeff Gillooly violating her. And the third was America.
Oh,
and
that's very astute.
Oh, why, thank you.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, she drives that.
I mean, they like literally say that. They're this is
at the end, she literally drives that point home.
She's like, this is your fault. I didn't win over Oksana Bayul because you guys made my life stressful. She basically says exactly that.
Not because you had 6 weeks to train, and you luckily got onto the team.
You were not training at all for a while, and you said yourself, I'm completely out of shape.
Yeah.
And Oksana Bayul spent her whole life training. She did great. Sorry, Tonya. A lot of me, I really like the movie, but I feel that
it's trying to push a thing.
Well, no, I don't think it added anything to the conversation. I think
That's
that
fair.
it reiterated everything that's already out in the conversation. Tonya Harding will talk about this at the drop of a dime. You just have to ask her and give her a dime. And just there are a lot of interviews that are publicly available where you will find almost every single point in the story. Tonya will tell you herself. And so I wrote down why this movie. What am I supposed to get from this?
I don't know the history behind it. I don't know what came of it.
Gotta watch that sweet Price of Gold.
I mean, yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch The Price of Gold now. I feel like I do want to watch that. But yeah, I think it's a fair assessment of being like, why? I mean, besides
Nancy Kerrigan to this day won't talk about it.
No, of course. Why would she want to talk about that? All she knows, all it feels like to her is her friend betrayed her.
Were they friends, though? The movie says they were friends, but frankly, that's the first I've heard of that. So, and Tanya's version of saying that they were friends was showing that also Nancy smokes and drinks too.
That's true.
That was her story.
Basically, she was saying Nancy's a bad girl too.
Bringing her down.
Don't. She's not some prim and proper thing.
She's not the ice princess, and I'm the bad girl. We're both bad girls.
Right.
Was her way of saying that they're friends. So, grain of pink Himalayan sea salt. Just saying.
It's a fancy salt.
It's a very fancy salt, and the grains are quite coarse. So.
But yeah, like, I don't know. There's much more to like. I'm trying to look at my 3 notes.
Look at I have a little booklet of notes.
Yep, that's all I got. Good music, awkward CGI face, Jenny Oh, fucking Allison Janney delivering all those insults like a fucking master.
Oh, just
every
so
single
good.
one.
So terrible too. Like the scene.
Every single one.
And this is
bad.
a real thing that happened. Tonya Harding's mom threw a steak knife at her.
Oh my god.
And Tonya will say that it like reflected off her side, but it still got her, which was shown in the. It didn't stab. It stabbed her.
It stabbed her.
But it didn't.
But it
wasn't deep,
went in a
but
little
it
bit.
It wasn't enough to like be standing in her flesh on its own. But that really happened, according to Tonya.
Right.
And
I could see that. I've seen
and
similar things in my life, so like.
And like the intensity and seriousness and terribleness of that scene, they let it hang for a moment. You know, it escalated. She threw a knife at her, it landed in her arm, and they stop arguing. She's like, "Do you see what you've done?" And then it cuts to Allison Janney. She's like, "Yeah, everybody's got problems." And so I liked the comedic relief of it. At the same time,
It was real fucked up.
shit was disturbing.
Sure was disturbing.
Yeah. I did like at the end. I don't know if I liked it. I noticed at the end how it was going back to this whole "it's all of our fault" things. It's mostly our fault for how we treated Tonya.
Mostly Americans'
We had
fault.
no idea this is what we were doing to her,
Right.
and it shows how fickle we are and that we switched to ruining someone else's life so quickly. Because as soon as the Olympics were over, Tonya still had her trial. She still had to get herself stripped from skating for the rest of time.
The rest of her life.
And it showed us watching the news, and it moves on to like, all right, so that's done. OJ. And
I did like that. I mean, it was definitely that last bit was
the
definitely
Dave
a comment.
Letterman joke,
Yeah.
like, does she know Amy Fisher? A little topical, topical other person, horrible violence humor.
Right. And so, like, I liked that they did, because basically, and the guy, Bobby Cannavale in it, Martin Maddox, mentions, he's like, look, it was the beginning of the 24-hour news cycle. Because it was like around that time was the birth of CNN, or at least when CNN started becoming really, really popular. And so everyone was competing to get the stories and like pump out more and more stories. And so something would hit the consciousness. And so yeah, they show that like the 24-hour news cycle talking about her, and then they go like Jeff Gillooly's like out of prison, and then he's just like cleaning up, and you see the news vans leaving his house, and on the TV is the O.J. Simpson.
They leave his house the day before he goes to jail.
Yeah.
The story's over. The Olympics are over. No one cares anymore. Neither of them won, which was the point. The whole point was that we're gonna see this like tale play out. You know, she tried to injure her so she could beat her, and who's gonna win the gold?
Right.
Spoiler alert: neither of them win the gold. And they both stand on the thing, looking all poopy and angry.
I did like that she said that Nancy Kerrigan looked like she had poop.
Which is funny when you watch. You have to watch Price of Gold. When you watch it,
Sold.
Tonya really lays in to Nancy's reaction to not winning, and it's like Tonya is in a constant state of replaying these like few precious moments of her life.
Sure she is.
Yeah, of course she is.
I mean, if anything you do learn from this movie is that she constantly wants validation and praise, and validation is love to her because she feels like her mom didn't love her.
I mean, she's like the ultimate extreme, super high version of like the high school quarterback who will volunteer information about his
great touchdown pass he did.
Touchdown that like won the homecoming game like 20 years ago. I mean, it's way more serious than that. She's a literal Olympic champion. She actually did the triple axel, the first person, not woman, first person to do it in competition and land it. She's the real deal, so I get it. I'm just saying that's also the vibe that I'm getting. I mean, she has every right to do that. She's a real Olympian.
No, she is. She's a real Olympian.
She is a real unique talent, but she also maybe clubbed someone's knee, maybe.
Allegedly, maybe clubbed
maybe clubbed someone's knee.
She didn't actually do it.
She knows someone who knows someone
Someone who did it.
who clubbed her name.
God damn it.
And Nancy won't talk about it.
What does Nancy know? What is she hiding?
Nancy did it to herself.
She did it all to herself. Blame it on
Part 2,
Tonya.
I Nancy.
Nancy me.
Nancy me. I definitely wrote down. I felt a little. I was a little. I don't know. I felt attacked at the end where they were trying to tell us that it was all our fault.
Oh.
And so I wrote down. How about not I, Tonya? How about you, Tonya? Is what I wrote down.
I mean,
because I mean,
it does feel like she. And that's also she's not taking responsibility a little bit of her own
That's what it was.
stuff.
I wrote down. When is it on Tonya?
Right.
Because she gets to the Olympics and she's just flat out unprepared. She's just unprepared.
And she has had a hard, shitty life, and she's been.
She has had a shitty life. She's been having an
Shitty
especially shitty few
life.
weeks, right, leading up to that. So I get that she's stressed and stuff,
Right.
but they still present that moment where she's at the Olympics and her lace breaks on her skate,
yeah.
and she stops and 30 seconds into the song and skates over crying to the judges and puts her leg on the judges panel.
Right.
First of all, too many people in the audience were gasping when that happened. I was like, that is a pointed moment in American history. Where have any of you been?
Not alive.
Yeah, clearly. 9 months old. That is framed as all the stuff that happens that goes awry during that Olympics that causes her to just shyly lose is the fault of the media and hounding her and Jeff and this and it only plays out that way if she genuinely had no concept of. And I think it goes. I don't know. I think these stories come to a head where you're like, she would do anything to win,
right?
And also, she was like, oh yeah, threaten her, whatever. I don't care. That's how it played out. Jeff yelled. There was a point where they were talking about oh, we're gonna threaten her. Then Sean comes in and says, oh, we're not gonna do that anymore. And Jeff yells out to Tonya while she's practicing on the ice.
We're not gonna.
He's like, oh, death threats are off, and she's like, oh yeah, whatever.
I don't care.
So, yeah, and I don't get the flippancy with it. I get that they're trying to frame it as she's focused, or Tonya is trying to frame it as she's focused. She would never.
Right.
But I don't really see
which has been so driven to at all costs so before, and now you're saying now it seems like it was a little almost out of character for her to be flippant about that.
Oh yeah, it's definitely out of character for her to be flippant, and because I didn't really see any other indication earlier in the story that she doesn't get distracted easily by other stuff.
That's true,
and
also that she would be flippant to Jeff. They have a contentious relationship.
Oh, whatever. You threaten my competition, whatever. I don't think at any point it wouldn't weigh on her that that's a profound decision that would have an effect on her. Right.
She definitely thinks about the things. I don't feel like, you know what I mean?
She's not. I don't want to say dumb, and she's not.
No.
She doesn't
she says she's dumb all the time.
But she's not.
Yeah.
She's clearly not, and. Yeah, I'm not buying it. Not buying what you're selling, Tonya. I mean, I'm here for it. I already said I've seen Price of Gold 100 times, so clearly I'm here for it. But not buying it.
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you think? Do you think she?
I definitely think. I mean, very clearly, this is a redemption. This is a Tonya Harding redemption story.
Oh, we're definitely supposed to feel a specific type of way after seeing this, for sure.
100%.
People who are telling you that this movie is ambiguous and leaves it up in the air are
Bullshit.
lying to your face. That is not what's presented in the movie in any capacity.
They make overtures to it being.
They go out of their way to make you.
They make overtures to being this could be, I don't know, but it's very clearly headed in.
I feel like they only make it so you can maybe say, oh, she agreed to threaten her. I feel like they leave that
that's true.
kind of up, but they will really, really want you to get that under no circumstances would she have actually gone through with
she actually have paid off those
would
guys?
she actually paid someone? Would she actually collude?
Right.
And they go out of their way to make sure you don't think
and as we keep saying, it's called I, Tonya. It's her testimony. It's her.
I mean, even so, though, you get the impression that when Jeff is talking, when Jeff Galooly's talking, that he's saying stuff from his mind and not like Tanya's version of stuff, even though the movie's called I, Tonya. And
I agree, especially when it's framed around his interviews.
Yeah.
When it's framed around like him staring at the camera and him talking, especially the stuff with Sean and the guys, that's very much all from Jeff's perspective to me.
But even in that sense, the movie itself goes out of its way to make sure that Jeff says things in his own private confessional that make Tonya completely innocent.
Oh, yeah.
He goes out of his way to say Tonya would never have come up with the idea to threaten Nancy. Tonya would never have gone through this. Tonya didn't do that. I ruined Tanya's career.
Right.
This and that.
I'll protect her. I'll do anything to protect her, he says all the time.
Which is also out of character for Jeff.
Right. But yeah, no, I mean, they're definitely playing up, this is Tanya's redemption. It's time to forgive Tonya Harding type deal is what this movie's kind of going for. I mean, at the end, when they give you, like most true biopics, they give you the little blurbs about what they're doing. And they do show Tonya Harding as a lady boxer.
Yeah, so the film ends after we've seen Tonya go through all of this abuse from her mom, from Jeff, from us, the American media.
Right, the epilogue.
Yeah, then we see her fighting on her own terms.
Right.
She describes herself as becoming she says lady boxer.
Yeah.
When, I don't know, I recall that she becomes a celebrity stunt boxer for a special celebrity boxing event.
I thought when they were like boxing, I was like, oh right, yeah, she did that special
celebrity
boxing
event.
Not that she started boxing a bunch of other people. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not looking.
We're not Googling this, but I'm pretty sure. I mean, what we saw was them reenacting this celebrity boxing match.
Right.
That wasn't just a.
Right.
Yeah. So
but she didn't become like a boxer.
She described herself as becoming a lady boxer.
Yeah, it was weird.
When actually it was more of
It was a stunt.
It was like a reality show kind of thing. Like
it was.
You don't say you became a television personality when you were on what's that show? Oh man, that show with Bridget Nielsen. The first season.
Surreal Life. Yeah. So but then they show, and then they do the little blurb, and it says she wants everyone to know that she's a great mom. She's a good mom.
I thought that was a little dig at the last minute for a movie that was really going hard for Tonya to at the end try to pretend that isn't she so whatever. Tonya wants you to know that she's a great mom.
Yeah.
Why are you being so disingenuous movie now? Why are you being rude now? This whole movie was Tonya propaganda. You should just say, Tanya's a great mom. Or leave it at that. Why try to pretend to be impartial, to be comedically impartial now?
Yeah. All right, you want to go for buttholes?
Yeah, okay. So... Do I go?
You go first.
How many buttholes do I give I, Tonya? Honestly, I thought it was a great movie. I, again, rescind my judgment of Margot Robbie's accent. I think it was imperfect, but it was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Sometimes it was spot on. Sometimes she looks spot on. I still say the body type was important.
All right, get to the buttholes, Sam.
Hey, I'm just explaining. Okay, all right. So because I don't think this movie added anything to the conversation of Tonya versus Nancy or anything really helpful to the dialogue of the story, I will give this movie. I'll give it one just butthole. I'll give it just a butthole because
We're about to have a butthole change.
You know what? There were very good performances. I think Sebastian Stan was great. There was one I do want to say. There was one moment where I thought Sebastian Stan earned his his possible future Oscar nomination.
Not for this one, but for the future.
No, like if he were nominated this year, I'd be like, yeah, okay. You shouldn't win though. But
No.
if he were nominated, it was the moment when Tonya tells him,
Paper Russell, Paper Russell.
it's the moment when Tonya tells him, you should go kill yourself. You should just shoot yourself. You kill yourself or something.
Yeah.
And he's on the phone with her, and he goes through this range of emotions. The first one is like, how dare you talk to me? Then the next one is like crying, like, how dare she talk to me like that? And then the next one is like, oh my God, my whole life is over. She's my meal ticket. And the next one is, everything's, like he goes through a range of very Galooly emotions with his Galooly stash. And I think Sebastian Stan elevated himself in this movie. I liked it. All right, so one normal butthole. I liked it. It didn't give me the thrill of Shape of Water at all.
Yeah.
It's not going to stick with me. I still think Price of Gold, the documentary, is a better watch than the movie, Tonya.
All right.
I mean, the movie was good, but it doesn't add anything, and I think Price of Gold adds everything this does and more.
Yeah.
And in terms of understanding the story and coming away feeling like something, I'm not going to see Tonya more than a handful more times in my lifetime. I will watch Price of Gold anytime it's on Netflix. So, one normal, not loose, not tight, but one just normal butthole. Regular old butthole.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it one regular old butthole as well. I agree. I enjoyed my time in the movie. I didn't feel bored. I didn't feel like I wanted to walk out at any point. It was an enjoyable film. I like some of the shots and framings of things they did. I liked the fourth wall breaking. That was my personal thing.
There was that one Edgar Wright smash cut transition that only happened once.
Well, and that's the thing. This movie was a mix of filmmaking styles. It was a huge mix of filmmaking styles. I noticed that a lot. They go from there's some Edgar Wright-y stuff. There's some other like Wes Anderson-y type framing. Yeah,
framing of just like suddenly this one shot is like picturesque and a little.
And then they go into like a dark, like the interrogation stuff is a whole other style. It goes arty, has the documentary stuff because they incorporate real TV live footage or actual footage. So like it was a mishmash, a collage of filmmaking styles.
Agreed.
Which I found interesting, and I think it kind of worked in a way. But I definitely, one solid, just normal butthole. I think Allison Janney gave a fucking phenomenal performance.
Phenomenal.
And I think she should get an Oscar nom for this.
Definitely nom.
She should get a nom
absolutely.
for this. She inhabited that character and brought something else to it. Like
for a character that was so little involved versus all the other side characters.
And like she was great. And everything that you see her do, which is heavily featured in the first act, plays through the second and third acts of the movie. So her, and I don't think that's just in the writing. I think that's in Allison Janney's performance, because her performances stick with you.
Yeah,
and things
sticks with you like it's stuck with Tonya.
Right. Well, and then things Tonya says to Jeff, or things Jeff says to Tonya, relate back to things the mom has been saying. So, all the love for Allison Janney. But so that's one normal butthole for me.
One normal butthole from me.
So two just normal buttholes.
Two just normal buttholes for Tonya.
Yeah. So like,
see it if you want. See Price of Gold first. I stand by that.
I think a lot of people were giving it a lot of praise. I think it's an okay film. It definitely feels Oscar baity.
I agree with that.
And so, but yeah, like it was a good watch. It was a. I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I needed to leave. Also, I was drinking beer, eating fancy popcorn. And,
we were at Nighthawk. Good spot.
So.
Yeah. So.
That's it.
Yeah, see it if you feel like it. See Price of Gold for sure immediately. You don't need a film card for that. It used to be on Netflix. I don't know where it is now, so
it's somewhere.
I guess download it. Right. Yeah, so I guess we'll see you next week. We are the Film Butts with movie pass holes, and bye.
Right, see you later. Take one.
Connor Harding's middle name is Maxine. The more you know.